everyone, welcome back to SGTV. One of the things that we've always tried to do from the startup of this channel was try and create content that was actually useful for anyone, not only in the industry, but also people thinking about getting into the industry. So we've got someone on today called Richard Arblaster, who we saw on Twitter asking questions about getting into the electrical industry at a later stage. And we've got two wealth of knowledge guests on the show. We've got Neil McManus from Leicester College, and we've got Dan Jackson from E5, who I don't have hair envy of at all. So you guys have got, you know, an absolute fountain of experience and knowledge that I'm sure is absolutely valuable to anyone out there. So hopefully you guys can be of help to Richard. So Richard, I guess you've got some questions for the guys. Feel free to ask away.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick background on myself and why I'm interested in getting into it. As I say, I'm looking at getting into it quite late. I'm currently just turned 46, so that is quite late. I've had an interest in electrical since in my early 20s. I did actually start an electrical course many years ago, but I found the tutor was a little bit boring, so I lasted about a couple of weeks on that, and everyone else lost a bit of interest. I just say I'm just looking for a bit of a career change. I currently work nights in a local distribution warehouse, and I just sort of wanted a change in career because I've always been interested in electronics and electrics. I just basically want to know how to get started, recommended courses and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll take that one if you want, Richard. Obviously, you need some practical knowledge. So my advice, first of all, would be to look to enrol on two routes. And with your background, one of the best routes may be to join a level 2 full-time evening programme. Currently, the 2365 City and Guilds qualification, EAL also do a version of this. At Leicester College, we deliver this over 1 year, 2 evenings a week, 5:30 till 9, and we run one night where it's practical, learning all about the practical skills, lighting, circuit arrangement, power circuit, and containment systems. The other night is made up of theory, scientific principles, health and safety, and installation technology, which is the regulations involved. That'd be your first step to achieve a level 2, and then with the option of progressing on to a level 3 qualification. And again, I can quote the City and Guilds numbers, a level 3 2365. At level 3, that would be at a full cost, but there's an equivalent called the 8202 that's a technical qualification under the City and Guilds, and that is funded for anyone over 19 by the government loan system. At level 3, again, it's 1 year. This covers a lot more detail in design, planning, testing, inspection, and fault finding. With a full level 3, which both them qualifications are, they currently map over into the apprenticeship standards. Okay, so should you, even at your age, a young man, you can progress into an apprenticeship with the right company. That could be one of the routes you take. And therefore, you would only need to complete your NVQ part of the evidence, which is collecting evidence of site work installation. The other route for mature people would be obviously to obtain your level 3, undertake the current regulations, which is currently the 18th edition, then undertake a testing inspection qualification. Initial, first place, followed by the periodic, and then there's an opportunity to go down what we call a mature candidate route to obtain your NVQ and move on to get your gold card. But obviously there's a lot of steps and barriers in the way. which you need to overcome. But your first steps, that's certainly to start on a level 2 program.
So obviously, Neil's touched on obviously the college theory stuff that you do in college, which is really important, but to form part of your MVQ is the practical side and your on-site experience, and not just to form part of your qualifications, but the experience is vital. It is absolutely vital to get experience, because if you want to get employed by somebody, you can have all the qualifications in the world you like, but really they're looking for someone with experience. And I've employed loads of sparks, apprentices, trainees. I've had adult trainees, and really what I'm looking for is attitude towards, how you do your work, and attitudes towards safety. Electricity, you have to respect it because it can kill you, it can kill other people, it can cause fires. And also what you're willing to learn as well, because I find a lot of, especially, I've done the same. When I was a youngster, I'd done an apprenticeship. A lot of the guys in college, they qualified and they think, that's it, I'm an electrician. Now, I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm constantly learning. I'm relearning. I'm going back over what I've covered in the past. The industry changes very, very quickly. We've got different technologies. It's a constant learning curve. It's one of those things that you get the basis of, so you get your core qualifications, and it's forever moving forward. And really, that's down to you as an individual. But it depends. I think it depends what you're looking to achieve when you qualify, like what type of work you want to do, who you want to work for. So what sort of things are you looking, what have you thought about?
Well, as you said, with the continual learning, I've just recently passed a PAT testing course, City and Guilds 2377, and already there's talk about the 5th edition coming out, because I've already got the 4th edition, and they said in June time that edition 5 is already coming out. Yeah, so I appreciate there's always constant development. I'm just basically, really, why I want to get into electrics, I just want to make a difference, because the amount of scare stories I see people writing on Twitter, some really, really dodgy installations. You just, even though I'm not a qualified electrician, I've sort of got the basics, like the basic theory, and I think, how do people get away with that? How can they sleep at night? Because I think there was a story near me that an electrician actually got jailed because the installation he'd done was so dangerous that the HSE just couldn't believe what this person had done.
Yeah, and the problem is that anybody can go and work on electrics. It's not like gas. Now, there are laws in place. This is a thing, but a lot of people kind of ignore them. We've got what's called the Electricity at Work Regulations, 1989. It's free to download. It's online. It's worth reading it. And a lot of it might be a bit of jargon, but really, even though a lot of electricians focus on the British Standard 7671, which is the blue book, we're now on the 18th edition, we need to be looking at deeper into legislation. And it's a real handbook to help you with your career, to understand why we do things in a certain way. The blue book is a guide. And I know that's a bit of a loose term. It's not legislation, it's not statutory. However, the way UK law works is quite simple. Have you done everything to industry guidance and standards?
Yeah.
And that's why, there's not enough governance in this industry, so a lot of people can get away with absolute, literally murder. And I hope things will change. But that's what I mean about attitude. You obviously expressed already that you've seen a load of, work that looks quite rubbish, and honestly, you see it daily. It's ridiculous. But it's, I've come across, I've had a really clever physicist tell me how much he knows about copper, how he knows about metals and stuff like that. And he got me round his house, this was years ago, about 10 years ago. And he wired up all his sockets. And basically we came around and pulled the sockets off, literally could just pull them off the cables, because he hadn't tightened them correctly. Now, this is somebody who says they understand copper, but really it's the practice and the experience. And I'm saying, I've had a lot of apprentices work for me, And bear in mind, most of them are sort of 16, 17 when they start, but it takes a good 4 years until they've got the attitude of where they don't think they know it all and they respect with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And some, honestly, Richard, some of them never get out of that. So I think mature learners, I've always liked them. I've employed them in the past. But the difficult thing is pay.
Yeah.
Because when you first start out working for somebody to get that experience, you can't expect to be earning a 46-year-old money.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
You know, but it's an investment, because if you put the time in now, then you think of the money you can be making in the future.
Yeah.
Richard, one of the things, obviously at college, you're working in a workshop environment, and where we would focus on terminations and technology behind the terminations in the correct lengths and everything. But what Dan was saying earlier, you need to look around your local environment, and have you got any neighbours who are currently electricians that you could go and get experience with? Are you a member of any societies in clubs that you could go in at? You know, look around your family relations or mates that you meet at these clubs and ask them if they know any electricians where you could go and watch to start with. Because what we can't teach is at college is what, you know, working on site would. What do you do when you're installing new lights in a loft and you've got thermal insulation when you've been told to clip everything correctly to the wooding, and how that affects your cable in that? How do you pull cables through, you know, painted walls in plastered walls when they've all been decorated? There's an awful lot to learn. And I think one of the most things is this is not knocking the pack testing course, but I see a lot of people come to me saying, I'm an electrician, I've got a pack testing course. And that's a basic safety course in a way that you've got. And I would advise, obviously, for yourself and to download the Electricity at Work Reg, but before carrying out any electrical installation, always practice safe isolation. And I know at E5 in Dan, they're trying to do an awful lot to drive this, you know, safety within the industry. So again, it's getting the basic safety in place before you try anything. And again, even though you're mature and you've got the knowledge, like Dan gave an example earlier of a guy who's installed sockets and they just fell off, please don't undertake any electrical work unless you are supervised or you have the right equipment and knowledge. One of the things Dan also asked you was what sort of trade do you want to get into at the end of this? And you only need to look at the Scolmore group, and they've got security and CCTV, which are going to be a massive industry changer. A lot of houses now will want additional security, buildings, there's heating controls. You've also got smart home technology, you know, and again, have a look at the Scolmore range that they run in, you know, Alexa, turn me heating on, Alexa, do this. And then obviously another good route, but you do need, again, it's about discovery, testing, inspection. It'd be a trade I'd really want to do if I went back into it, would be the testing inspection side. But how did I learn that? You learn through fault finding. And you come across, and it's knowing what these readings that you obtain mean to the regs in the guidance. I've gone reading on my test equipment, but what does it mean? Okay, so don't try and rush because you are mature. You know, you could still do this within 3 or 4 years.
That's what I'm thinking. Long term, I'm not in it for just to show I'm in this for the long term. That's why I'm shying away from short courses, because I just don't like looking at them. Because I saw this clip that somebody posted on Facebook, you know, Martin Roberts from the Homes Under the Hammer. You interviewing this guy who just bought a house, and he said to Martin Roberts, "Oh, I qualified as an electrician, a 2-week course," and you could see the state of the electrics he'd done and the look on Martin Roberts' face when he rolled his eyes. He was not impressed at all.
And I think there's and Dan's and E5 are leading quite a lot on this. There's an awful lot of changes being made to the industry at the moment, and this is being reviewed. And that's one reason I didn't mention the domestic installer's route to you. And I think there needs to be changes within the electrical industry whereby you're either gold card registered or leave it be.
I just wanted to jump in actually, because both Neil and Dan have mentioned about experience being, absolutely important. So from your guys' experience, how difficult do you think it is for mature graduates to find that initial experience, whether that's an apprenticeship or just working for as an electrician's mate? How difficult do you think that could be, or how easy?
That's what we're getting to next, because of my age and funding for apprenticeships, because I've seen a couple of training sites saying that they won't fund anybody above 24 because obviously they don't get government funding for it. So
that's not quite right, Richard. I mean, obviously, if you can go to a college, you'll get funding because they have a different funding regime.
Right.
And the reason they may be saying they can't fund it anymore is because the old 2365 level 3, it's still available. It's a very good course, very knowledgeable. It's a really good in-depth course. The problem you have with that is the government to remove funding for that. Yeah. So obviously, a lot of training providers haven't run the 8202, which is equivalent. It's more or less the same course repackaged, and that does have the funding available for you. Just going back to the previous question about finding work, that's one thing I'm heavily involved in. It's obviously work placements. And most colleges have to now find, all colleges have to find placements for all full-time students on electrical installation courses. And it's difficult because a lot of the trade don't trust or believe in a 16 to 18-year-old. And again, you're a mature learner. And if you can find someone to support you, a neighbour, a colleague from a club book, then you will gain an awful lot of experience, far more than you can be taught in college, far more. And so it is difficult because it's down to you as an individual to find that placement. And there's a lot of good people out there. There's some great electricians out there that will support you, but maybe you've got to put that on social media sites or something. Yeah. Maybe, from this, someone sees this video clip.
That's another reason why I wanted to do this, to get myself out there. So people say, hey, look, I'm here. I want to train as an electrician.
It needs to be in your work area where you live. And also, you've also got a full-time job. And it's that sacrifice with money, what Dan says. To start with, no one's going to pay you. It's about you getting the experience.
Yeah, because I did say that I'm willing to switch back to working a day shift and then do a course at night. Yeah,
your course at night's not going to be a problem to get on it, and you're obviously keen and passionate.
Yeah.
So I see no danger there. But even when you're doing that course, at the end of the, first year, you need this work experience, this placement. Yeah. It's no good a piece of paper. Yeah. You've just done a pack testing course. How many appliances have you tested?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And you're only going to gain through experience. Yeah. It's when you start getting faults. At college, you plug something into pack test. Wow, look, gives me that. Yeah, it's all working fantastically. Yeah. It's when you go to someone's site and, this is not working, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that experience you need And I think social media and local clubs and notice boards round near you is the way forward to find a placement. And I'll pass back over to Dan.
Yeah, you've really got to put yourself out there. So obviously being on this will help because you're showing that you're willing, you want to go to college and so forth. You know about the money because a lot of people have come to me in the past and I'm sorry guys, my daughter's coming.
Hello!
Hi.
Just on a call in a minute. Are you going to be an electrician too one day?
No.
No, okay. I apologise again, guys. Richard, you're putting yourself out there by being on this. You're reaching out. That's important. Now, I think I applied for an apprenticeship in 2005. I think it was. Now, I wrote to 200 companies, and I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
And only one come back to me and gave me an interview. And even now, it's quite tricky, even as an adult learner, even as an apprentice, because there's very little incentives for companies to take on trainees, whether you're a younger student or a mature, because there's a massive risk that they pump all this money into your training.
Yeah.
You can just leave. You might be useless. So you've got to convince those people. And I've had people come into me when I've been interviewing, and I'm like, yeah, I like this guy. I want to give him a chance because I feel their attitude, I feel their charisma. The things that they're saying, and it's all the things. I mean, youngsters, it is difficult because they're going through a very different period in their life where they're starting to get into alcohol, girls, and everything else. Whereas when you're older, it's different. You've lived your life, and things are a little bit more stable. So I think it's just a case of building your CV, putting it together, but don't just email off a CV to companies. Speak to them, reach out. You have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Go on LinkedIn. Literally, LinkedIn is a good place. Get yourself on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm on there. I don't use it properly. That's the problem.
But it's not a problem. As long as people can see your face, see what you're about, and hear what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
There will be someone that will give you a chance, and even if it's just a little part-time thing here and there, it leads to.
As long as I can prove that I've got starting to get experience. Yeah.
Richard, one of the other things like Dan's just mentioned also is when you're knocking doors, I'm a great believer in knocking doors down, sending emails in, CVs through the post don't always work. But if you phone people up or knock on doors, sometimes they will open for you. So ask. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask. And if you see a job advert where they want qualified electricians, it's also just worth applying, but making it clear to them that you're undertaking an electrical program, you're willing to learn, you're passionate about learning. Can you come on a week's trial?
Yeah.
That could be, because to start with, pulling cables in and learning that part and watching skilled electricians at work, you'll develop so much quicker and have better knowledge and understanding.
Because there's obviously it's a physical job, Richard, as well. And, I mean, I'm not really much on the tools, but when I get back on the tools and I'm pulling in cables all day, mate, I feel it down my arms, I feel it in my joints, and it's when I've taken on trainees in the beginning, part of it is them getting used to it because your muscles develop and grow how they're supposed to. But there is a big physical change. There's a big.
I'm used to physical work because I used to work on my dad's farm, so I'm used to the physical work. So I'd have to just build myself up again. Yeah,
which is fine. Our bodies can do that. But it's believe me, I mean, I've pulled in massive armouds when I was a youngster, and even as a 17-year-old lad, Jesus Christ, it does you in. It is a really. I mean, this industry is really rewarding if you put in enough. You get back what you put in.
Definitely, yeah.
What would your goal be at the end of it, Richard? So once you've done whichever training routes you decide to do, and let's say you've done several years experience with a company, what would your end goal be? Would you be wanting to work for yourself, set up your own company, or?
Yeah, I work for myself eventually, and as Neil said, I like the testing and like the design side, technical side, that's what I'd like to get into eventually once I've got the experience, my foot in the door eventually.
How many years experience would someone need from your guys' experience? So say once you've done your qualifications, how many years experience would you say you need working for a company before you're ready to go out on your own? Or is that quite an open-ended question dependent on the individual?
It's definitely down to the individual. So typically when I've taken on apprentices, if they're really good and trustworthy, realistically, I think you're looking at minimum 4 years.
Yeah.
Lads, come and do stuff on their own. Wouldn't let them do testing and inspection though.
No.
You know, that's something additional. You know, there's courses for that, and there's reason, because the thing is, your basic qualification, although you touch on testing and inspection, like Neil said, it's about understanding. I mean, I know sparks who, they can plug in equipment all day long and give you all fancy results, and then it comes back. I mean, I've reviewed literally thousands and thousands of reports and certs, and I'm like, they clearly didn't know what they're doing or what they're looking for. It's about interpreting it, and you know, it's understanding. And obviously, I can tell, you know, you like the technical side, and you know, it is interesting. But again, it's another level. It's another tier. You know, the qualifications we all do is a lot of it's installing new kit, new installations, new cabling. But then even so, you try ripping out, you know, a 1960s kitchen that's had wiring lashed across different bits of it, left, right and centre, when you think it's a ring.
And obviously, Richard, there's always opportunities to work with people like the Scolmore group. Once you've got technical knowledge and that, you know, it may be as you're doing a qualification that you think, oh, ESP fire alarms and security, I like that route. And you may want to go and progress into that route side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you may get in with over your lighting and think, oh, lighting's what I want to be in, and become a lighting design engineer.
The electrical qualifications is the core. And then you can divert. I mean, I got big into fire alarms, and that ended up being a bigger line of work that I actually do. You know, people get into EV charge points, and you tend to find that it just kind of happens. You know, you tend to find you get a bit of a break.
Specialisation.
Yeah, and you just obviously you get more experience at it. You like it. You go down that route. There's obviously revenue to be made, and you sort of specialise. And it's good to have that, you know, a specialist area as well, for sure.
I think Dan summed it up early on that you know, with a piece of paper qualification, technical qualification, what really matters is working safely at all times, having the right attitude, be willing to learn and put yourself out there. And the biggest thing I always say, if you don't know something, don't just go ahead and do it and put people at risk. Stop and ask a website. I mean, Voltimum in that, it's open to everybody. And you can ask these questions of experts. And I think that's what you need to do while you're learning.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, always ask.
I see a lot of electricians as well. They'll almost build a community, whether it's on social media or just friends that are in the industry. And they've always got someone to ring up if they're unsure, who they might even be a competitor in their area, but they seem to all have that mutual link and willing to help each other out if ever anyone's stuck with a question.
And that's what we try to do with the E5 group is obviously we all come from different backgrounds, and it's not just, you know, the main 5 of us, it's all different people from walks of life. I don't know everything at all, so I go and ask somebody who knows more about something than I do. It's that simple. That's how you learn.
Yeah, I love the E5 podcasts, by the way. I am actually subscribed to them. Awesome resource.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions that you wanted to put to the guys before we finish, Rich?
I'll probably come up with some questions later on. I'll probably be on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll probably come up with some more questions later on. As I say, my main one was the apprenticeship route at my age, and the funding. That was a little bit worrying for me when you look on certain sites. But as you said, with this 8202, that would be kind of the thing for the funding.
Okay. Well, Richard, in the chat, I've shared my email address, college email address.
Oh, brilliant.
So obviously, if you do get a list of questions, pin them over, and if I can answer them, I will do.
Yeah, probably as I'm going on social media and YouTube, I'll probably find some questions.
Okay. Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you, and thanks for taking your time out to answer my questions and put my mind at ease with certain things.
Anytime, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Does that mean me E5 badge is on the way?
Now you'll have to apply, and we might let you in.
Okay, I just want to thank you guys for joining us and helping out and helping Richard answer all the questions that he was unsure of. And for anyone else watching out there who's in a similar position to Richard, I hope you find this video useful. And we'll put some links in the description as well to E5 and to Leicester College as well, in case you wanted to get in contact with Neil. So again, thank you to everyone out there watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.